Morning, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. This is Dr. Elsie Koh here with Lead Physician, empowering physicians with leadership and business skills that we didn't learn to really thrive and improve our lives as physicians. Today, I'm changing it up a little bit. I'm showing you an abbreviated version of an interview I had with Greg Dickerson, who's now on faculty with us at Lead Physician as one of our business coaches. And talk about, when we go on social media, we often talk about the successes, right? And how people are doing fantastic and the wins and the great things that people have accomplished. And we don't see the failures that are in the background that allow that success to occur. And many of us people who uh, feel successful and know we're successful have had many ups and downs, and that's part of life. That's part of human nature. And so I want to get here. I want to get vulnerable here and share with you my story and the doctor who made each and every employee cry in their office. And guess who that doctor is? I'm sure you've guessed it. That's me. And my story with Lead Physician really began as my journey. And the point of me creating it was that I don't want any other doctor to go through what I did. And it's very painful, very painful. And knowing what I've learned through leadership training and study has tremendously changed my life. And it is a big win for me when I see another physician, if I can help them change their life. And one thing I want to say before I show you this video are that the three things that really make great leadership in a nutshell is number one, self-awareness. Okay. Number two is studying once you're self aware. And number three is self image. So let's back up. Self awareness. I was not self aware. I was not even aware that I was doing anything wrong. And we're talking about toxic behaviors here. And there's a spectrum from, when we talked to Dr. Riyad Kashesha last time, from the violence to the subtleties of having toxic behavior in the OR. And for me, I am looking back, I was that toxic doctor and I didn't even realize it. I wasn't self-aware. And when you develop such a self-awareness of yourself and you realize how to change, then you can study. And then when you study skills, and there's tips and tricks and tools out there that you can learn, and we didn't learn that in medical school and residency. And you can make such a difference in your life and the lives of others. And then your self-image. I mean, talk about self-image. I had no idea how to lead. I was a young medical director at the time. And this was back to 2006. And the only thing I knew was to give orders because that's what I've seen. And I was very insecure about leadership. And so it came across as being very commanding and dictator like. So my self-image had to change. My self-image of who I really wanted to be, really being self-aware of what I'm doing. And if that's in alignment with the self-image, then you can really come out and produce. And I'm constantly working on my self-image. It's not that I'm saying that I'm perfect now, not at all. I'm scratching the surface, but I'm learning every day to use the same tips and tricks to become a better leader. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for all the support. If you yourself have a story, please contact me at info@drelsiekoh.com. And if you and your organization know of physicians who need help and are interested in learning more about us, go to our website at leadphysician.org. Here it is. And I hope I can get this to work and have you enjoy this video. Okay. So here, let me just play this for you.
Radiologist and founder of Lead Physician. She's quite accomplished, so we're going to let her tell her story and background.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for interviewing me. I've had some people ask me, can you interview yourself and put yourself on your own website and group and Facebook? Yep. So, thank you.
So what inspired you to create Lead Physician? So, well, I guess before we get to that, so you've had quite a career. You went to medical school, you did your residency, you got out. So tell us a little bit about your career journey to this point where the inspiration for Lead Physician came along.
Right. So, like I said, I was starting being offered leadership positions because being a medical director of a surgical center and totally taken out of my element because suddenly I have staff that I'm supposed to lead. But instead of leading them, I said, okay, well, they need to do their job and I'll do my job and I'll just do, whatever. And then I would I would just tell them what to do. And if they didn't do what I did, I said, well, I'm the doctor and you're the nurse, the staff, and you need to listen to me. I'm the one who's calling the shots here, so that's and then I got
that's
by.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So you never thought of yourself as a leader.
Yeah.
Didn't know really what that was about, but yet you were put in a leadership position as medical director. So how did that happen?
So it's funny. I think people who are not, first of all, I think people who are not in medicine look at doctors as leaders and then they put them there and they realize that they suck as leaders because we're experts in our field. I was very skilled in my hand-eye coordination and the things that I could do. I mean, I can brag about that, but I really just, the reason why I know I failed is because I was told by my center manager at one point that I made each and every employee cry at one time in their time with me in a Christmas party. And I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was a joke because, after all, we're having drinks, we're having fun, and it's Christmas and we're on a party bus. But nobody was laughing in the bus. And I was devastated. I was like, what the, it was one of those moments where you stop and think like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with me.
So you find yourself as a medical director just all of a sudden, and you have no clue how to handle people, how to deal with people, how to lead, delegate, motivate, inspire people. You just know how to get things done, right? So I interrupted you there on a thought. So take us from that point.
No, so yeah, then I so after that, after these turning points, I had these like many little turning points, but that was a big one. I realized that I needed to change. And so I started picking up a book. I started asking people. I started noticing more of who I wanted to be like on media, at conferences, at whatever venue I could see. So any networking event, I started asking, and how do I keep my employees? Because my employee turnover rate was not good. How do I get people to like me? How do I communicate in the right way? I didn't know any of those things. And so when I started doing that, it's like suddenly my life started to change. People started to stay with me. I started empowering my staff to dream bigger, to look for more things, to be more than, realize that they have more potential than people have been telling them maybe. And then I had, the only turnover I really had were people who got promoted. So at the end of I recently moved out of that organization. I was there for 14 years. But at the end, when I left that organization, I had employees who really made a difference, who really worked up and beyond their call of duty. There was no job description. A nurse could help the front desk. The front desk can help the scrub tech. The scrub tech, if the nurse needs help, will help them in the pre and post-op area. It was a completely different office. And the friend of mine who took over my office said, Elsie, your office is like being in heaven. And I said, what? They said, when I ask for something, it's done right away. And I'm not used to that. Like, this is what you created. So when and then the more I moved up the rank in leadership in that organization, because I was starting to be recognized and I started believing myself, right? That's huge. It's not only believing yourself, but developing these skills. I was able to mentor and champion other physicians. And I noticed I would vet other physicians and I would interview them for jobs. And I would ask them, when I interviewed them, I could tell that there was a problem with their self-image. And the reason why some physicians fail and some of the physicians do great is not because of what they're doing and not their skill set per se, right? It's It's how they do those certain things. How do they interact? There's these very intangible skills that are leadership skills.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I bet when you exited the organization, there were tears again, but maybe for other reasons.
Yeah. I had tears.
So what needs to come first for anybody? Is it the belief or is it the skills?
I think the belief has to come first.
Absolutely.
People view empowerment differently. I realize that there was this long Facebook chat conversation going on in one of the Facebook groups that I belong to about what empowerment is. And we can all perceive empowerment differently based on the way we've been brought up and the way our cultural background, our genetics, whatever, our experiences. But to me, empowerment, because of my own path, and I think shared by many other physicians, is aligning your personality. And I think Oprah Hurt said this once: aligning your personality to who you are as a soul, is aligning, understanding that your soul has infinite potential beyond what anyone ever probably told you or that you even realize, and that you need to align your personality to your infinite capabilities. And how do you do that? It's a lot. There's skills that you can. There are actually tools to do that, and I learned that from my big mentors out there, and passed down from generations to generations to Napoleon Hill. And these concepts have been, and when you can tell who's been studying, who's been reading, who's been coached based on how they talk, because they understand these skills so well. And I bet you know those, Greg.
Oh, yeah.
I hear it.
Yeah, well, so there are natural born leaders, as that are just like, I was a natural born leader. So everything I ever did, I was the captain of the team. I was always chosen as the captain or the leader or whatever, pretty much anywhere I was. And I never questioned it, or it's just the way it was, and if there was something that needed to be done, I was the first one to volunteer. I would lead the charge, whatever it is. And then as I, grew up, I realized that, a lot of that came from my dad. He was a leader. He was in the military and he was an officer and, led men. So I grew up with that example, and I just became a natural leader in that regard. But I was trained by him without even knowing, just the skill set of just life of being trained as a leader. We make things happen, we get things done, you just do it, you just leave, you just go. You don't ask how are we gonna, you just go and you lead the team. Hey, we're gonna go do this. And, but to refine that skill set and to get results out of others, which is what leadership is. Leadership is the inspiration, is inspiring results out of others. It's accomplishing things through others, not as a manager, but as a leader. So it's a very different. Helping them
to see things in themselves that they didn't see before.
Right.
To help them realize, and this is where I wish somebody helped me, and I wish I were a natural born leader like you, because I wasn't. But to see something in them that they didn't realize before that they have right now.
And that's what I was getting at. So even though there are natural born leaders, a lot of people will look at that and say, well, our entrepreneurs born, our leaders born, our great business people born. And, it's like you said, it's skills. And there's tools out there and resources that you can develop for that skill set. And I bet you Napoleon Hill's a great one, Think and Grow Rich, obviously. But one of the other books out there, and I'm sure you've read it, is, one of the best books ever is How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
so communication.
Carnegie's nephew, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so communication is huge, and some of the greatest leaders of our time have been some of the greatest communicators of our time.
Right. So Bob Proctor actually is one of my mentors. I believe he's 87 years old now, and he functions like somebody 20 years younger. I mean, you can't even keep up with him in the hallway, and he's already planning his 100th birthday party. It's amazing. But I actually joined the PGI Institute as a coach. That's where I got certified. And what he's learned from Earl Nightingale, and Earl Nightingale was mentored by Napoleon Hill, and Napoleon Hill was mentored by Andrew Carnegie. And what I found out not that long ago was that Andrew Carnegie was mentored by someone named Elsie Benedict. So these success concepts are not my own. When I teach them, they are concepts that have been brought down generation to generation. And the bottom line is that what you put your attention to, what your thoughts are, really dictate your future and your results. So if you don't like your results, there's something that there needs to be a shift within, a paradigm shift that starts you going in the right direction with the expectation of knowing that you have this potential. It's a paradigm shift. He actually has a program called the Paradigm Shift that starts, I think there's another one that starts in March. Usually it's in person. It is a phenomenal event. I think it's like a 3-day event, and you can watch it from your own home and a camera. But when you go there in person, it's life changing. So if you're even interested in these concepts, I highly recommend you attend that. I could send anyone the link if you're interested.
Yeah.
So lead physician basically is it's not for everybody, but it's for people who realize that they need some change because they don't like their results. They feel stuck. They wish somebody could tell them how to change their results. They're not confident in stretching themselves beyond where they have been. They can't imagine doing more than they really are, and they kind of feel stuck. So those are the people who I think I work best with because I really understand what it's like to be there. And when you want to grow your leadership potential, it starts from within, and we're going to work on that. But we do work on logistical skills too, on how to communicate, how to negotiate, what are the things to do, what are the skill sets, how do you lead with values, what are your core values, and how do you do process improvement? Those are really important too. But we start within, and it is a 4-month course. And I've developed these videos that really come from some of my big mentors, Mary Morrissey also, and Bob Proctor. And I put it into videos that are in physician language, so they would understand it more, and with stories to go with it. And I developed, I think, 25 videos that they can watch along with the live courses with expert physicians and people like you, Greg, who really inspire and give insight into something that they might not have seen before. Because a business coach like you will help physicians to think, because we don't think in that way. How do you grow your wealth? How do you, for me, all of these concepts not only changed my career, but it changed how I deal with my money, how I invest, how I realize that there are smart, risky investments to do to really make a difference in how you live and how you can help others. And my relationship with my family and being able to help my kids during COVID when they were so depressed and making them think that they are more than the circumstances around them and to be able to find hobbies like my son during the summer, he found fishing and he just absolutely loved it. He just went off with it. My daughter started a fashion business and you should see our garage. We opened up one of the second garages for her and she created a whole teenage streetwear line called Radar Missing in Action or MIA or something. Just giving that to somebody to plant that seed in someone's mind, not just your child, but your peers, your colleagues, that they are more than what they think. It's life changing.
So where did the inspiration in this time come from to create Lead Physician? Because you didn't have that before. You'd gone through the program, you had Bob Proctor, and all of a sudden you just, I'm going to do this thing. So tell us about that.
It gives me such satisfaction and to help other people in this way. And I'm seeing, clients of mine, get out of the dumps. Somebody who felt stuck has now realized that there's more to her life than what she had, and now she's building a business that's where she's helping people in the entire state, including rural areas. Physicians need to be equipped with leadership skills where they not only believe that they can do it, but they know how to lead people, how to engage, how to communicate and influence people so that we can have change in a way that really matters that helps the workforce like ourselves, and the nurses and the ancillary staff, so that the workforce is better. We're treating patients better, and we're saving money better, and we're so everybody wins. We definitely don't learn business skills, and that's why when we come out and people look at us and they assume we know what margins mean, and we don't know what EBITDA means. We don't, and we should know those basic things, so that we do step up and say, hey, I do want to be involved in that. I do want to, instead of shy away, because then suddenly we're not the experts in that field, and we don't want people to know that we don't know.
So we are just about at the end of our time here, and this has been a fantastic conversation, and it's just been such a pleasure to get to know you and follow what you're doing. So where can people find you? I know this will be on your channel. I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel as well. So for my listeners and viewers, where can they?
Right. So first of all, if you're a physician, join the Facebook group called Lead Physician, because there's a lot of video content. There's a lot of announcements. There's a lot of the live videos that we do are posted on there for you to see. The other place is that you can go to leadphysician.org, which is our website, to learn more about the course if you're interested in doing that. And you can also email me at info@drelsiekoh.com, and I'd be happy to have a talk with you about what you're looking for and see if it's fit. We also work with organizations and individuals, and we have a number of physician experts as well as Greg here to help you with your journey. So thank you so much.
Well, Elsie, thank you for taking a few minutes out today and telling people about you and what you're doing. And it's just, like I said, it's been wonderful getting to know you, and I'm looking forward to a long and prosperous future together.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Same here.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch the full video, you can go to my YouTube channel under my name, Elsie Koh. And happy Valentine's Day to all of you guys. Next week, we are just going to continue on the subject of toxic behavior because Dr. David Dull, who helps physicians with this so-called label, he's saying that this is toxic behavior, disruptive behavior is really a symptom. It's not a diagnosis. How interesting is that? So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week at 10 o'clock here on social media. Thank you. Take care.